All right, joining us now, President Trump's attorney, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Mayor, good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Sean, that was an absolutely terrific monologue, I have to say.
Coming from
Brilliant.
you, those are high words of praise, sir. And we've been friends a long time.
We have.
Used to call into my late night radio show. That's how far back when you were mayor. You know, a full, complete vindication, especially obstructions out. I mean, the Attorney General said it's over. Quoted Mueller. Also said he'd release the report. This wasn't a comprehensive summary of the report. But it's interesting, while no, Mueller didn't make a decision on the obstruction side of things, he just laid it out and handed it to the Justice Department, which then immediately, clearly, the Attorney General and Rod Rosenstein said no.
Well, I mean, first of all, one of the things the Democrats are doing today and the day before, on collusion, let's be clear, Mueller did reach a conclusion that there was no collusion of any kind. He went so far as to say, he used all the words you could possibly use: conspiracy, coordination, not just with the president, but with the entire staff. So that comes from Mueller. On obstruction, he said, I don't find any basis to charge a crime, but I can't exonerate him. And the difficult issues of law and fact, I imagine he had like a dispute in his staff, but none of it amounts to any finding of a crime. And prosecutors are not supposed to exonerate generally. So he apparently 3 weeks ago, he gave it to the Attorney General, Rosenstein, and the Office of Legal Counsel. They spent 3 weeks looking at it and came to the conclusion I've told you from the very beginning. This whole obstruction theory is a creation of Andrew Weissman, who's created crimes before and been reversed by the Supreme Court of the United States for finding crimes out of the thin air. And in that case, against businessmen he didn't like. In this case, against Donald Trump, who he despises. I mean, this is a Hillary Clinton partisan. This is a guy who worked with Peter Strzok, who we know hates Trump. I mean, Mueller had on his staff 8 or 9 Trump haters, which is unprecedented in the prosecution staff. So if they didn't find a basis to charge him with anything, they exonerated him. They did everything they could, including putting a man in solitary confinement for 8 or 9 months to break him, and they couldn't break him. So this is about as big an exoneration as I've ever seen, and I've been in the prosecution business for, I don't know, since 1970s. And to try to reverse it is, I mean, I think they look foolish and they look pathetic. And I am confident that I said this from the very beginning. I haven't read the report. I haven't seen it. They can put out every part of it. It is not going to show either one. Otherwise, you couldn't come to the conclusions you came to. And second, if they have a few nasty facts in there, I'm ready to slam it down their throat. Because we have an 87-page report, which we will use. And there are some things that the special counsel did that I don't think they're going to want people to hear. They acted in ways that outrage me as a person who cares about justice.
You know, let's start with the team that was appointed. How do you justify only Democratic donors being appointed by Mueller? How do you justify hiring Hillary Clinton's attorney? You know, you mentioned Andrew Weissman. We have gone over this record a lot. As a result, he was held responsible for withholding exculpatory evidence. Tens of thousands of Enron accounting people lost their jobs, overturned 9-0 in the Supreme Court. That doesn't happen a lot. And then put 4 Merrill executives in jail for a year. That was overturned by the Fifth Circuit. How does somebody like that get chosen in this? I have a big problem, Mr. Mayor.
Well, you should have a big problem, Sean. It's outrageous, and it never should happen again. I mean, I had great respect for Bob Mueller. When he was first appointed, although, you know, I said, well, yeah, this is a fair guy. Then when he picked the staff that he picked, I thought he kind of lost his mind. I mean, you don't pick a counsel to the Clinton Foundation to investigate Donald Trump any more than if I were investigating Hillary, I'd pick counsel to the Trump Foundation. If I did, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and all those characters would go nuts. So that was the first giveaway. Weissman is probably the most notorious federal prosecutor you could find. Everything done wrong in this investigation, he's done wrong before. He charged non-crimes. That was the Supreme Court reversed him for. he charged people with things that are not crimes. Well, he's done that in this case. Obstruction, that's his crazy theory. Not a legitimate theory, and the prosecution of Cohen for campaign fraud. That's ridiculous theory. He made it up.
Last quick question, by the way, I'm nobody that should be questioning. I know your legal background. You were in the Southern District of New York, as prestigious. You prosecuted some of the toughest mob guys in the country. Why waive executive privilege? Why would? I don't think that should happen. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Well, I think the question is, if there's any kind of privilege asserted, it's going to be, oh, what's there, what's there, what's there. I can't give you an opinion on executive privilege. I'm not the White House counsel and I'm not Barr. I don't see all of that. I can only give you the opinion as a private lawyer. I don't care what they put out. He didn't collude. He didn't obstruct. God, do we have to say it again?
You're right.
And I can prove it. So give me what you got and I will knock it out of the ballpark. With the truth. How about that? The truth.
I do. It's 87 pages, your report. I want to see it.
Yeah, well, you'll see it someday, and I hope I don't have to use it. But if we have to use it, he didn't collude. He didn't obstruct. Grow up, guys. It's like getting used to the fact he got elected. Go see a psychiatrist. Calm down. And adjust to the real world.
Well, I want to see that. I want to see the FISA applications. I want to see 302's gang of 8.
That one's going to lead to perjury prosecutions. Guaranteed.
The president said he's going to release it. Told me on Wednesday.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for being with us on this busy breaking news night.
A huge number of well-known people disgraced themselves during the 2 years of the Russian collusion hoax, but two of them stand above the rest. Former CIA Chief John Brennan and former FBI Director Jim Comey. We expect lawmakers to grandstand on flimsy pretexts. That's what they do for a living. We don't expect much of anything from the news media. They're toadies and buffoons. But our most powerful bureaucrats are supposed to be, they need to be impressive. They have a lot of control over this country and the people who live here. We need them to be fair and smart and level-headed. John Brennan has shown himself to be none of those things. During his years serving Barack Obama, Brennan was known mostly for lying. Under Trump, he's become a full-blown, wild-eyed conspiracy nut.
He is feeding and fueling hatred and animosity and misunderstandings among Americans. I use the term that this is nothing short of treasonous because it is a betrayal of the nation. He is giving aid and comfort to the enemy. Treasonous is defined as a betrayal of trust as well as aiding and abetting the enemy. And so that was the word that came to my mind.
Jim Comey, meanwhile, is smarter than John Brennan, not that that's hard. But he's a political partisan, something that no FBI director should ever be. At times, his judgment has been bizarre. Watch him, for example, suggest that the most lurid portions of the obviously fake Steele dossier might in fact be real.
Honestly, never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but I don't know whether the current president of the United States was with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow in 2013. It's possible, but I don't know.
These people are a joke. Those are the two most powerful unelected bureaucrats in Barack Obama's government, and you would not hire them to run a CVS. They are idiots. They're self-aggrandizing narcissists who believed an absurd story about a pee tape that ran on some cat blog. And they're not alone. Congressman Adam Schiff is still rambling on like a mental patient about Russian conspiracy.
From the public, you might think it's okay that their only disappointment after that meeting was that the dirt they received on Hillary Clinton wasn't better. You might think that's okay. I think it's immoral. I think it's unethical. I think it's unpatriotic. And yes, I think it's corrupt and evidence of collusion.
Immoral, unethical, unpatriotic. People didn't used to talk like that, particularly those who are already all three. But it's not just Adam Schiff. The rest of his party is already joining the new conspiracy theory, and it's this. Bill Barr, the Attorney General, may look like a decent guy, in fact, a living stereotype of the traditional moderate Republican, but looks deceive. In fact, Barr is an enemy operative, a Putin stooge working secretly for Mother Russia. He cannot be trusted.
For Mr. Barr to quickly issue a 4-page report in his attempt to try and exonerate President Trump has too much of the odor of political expediency to help the man who appointed him, President Trump.
So if Chuck Schumer says it, you can be sure the entire herd of brainless Democratic presidential candidates say it too.
I'm deeply troubled by Barr himself. One of the reasons I voted against him. I mean, he should have recused himself, in my opinion. So I have a lot of problems with Barr.
Do you trust Barr's judgment on obstruction here?
No. I think what the Attorney General did is undermine the purpose of the special counsel's job. And I think Speaker Pelosi is quite right when she says it was not only arrogant, but very disrespectful.
You know, it's really hard to overstate how dumb this is. We're searching for the words. We know a lot about Bill Barr. He's been in the public eye for 40 years. He was the Attorney General under George H.W. Bush. He gave money to Jeb Bush's 2016 campaign. In fact, it's hard to imagine that Barr even voted for Donald Trump. Not his kind of guy. And yet now, for some reason, Bill Barr has developed such a deep loyalty to Donald Trump that he's willing to destroy his own reputation, subvert American government, and commit crimes. Why? In order to help Donald Trump, his new love, hide his criminal Russian collusion. That's what they're telling you. It's ridiculous. It's insane. But they tell you a lot of things like that. With remarkable frequency, the people who are supposed to be the most impressive in our society fall for hoaxes that no normal person would ever believe. Jussie Smollett's transparently bogus hate crime. A dozen more just like it in the past 2 years. The fake Duke rape case, the even faker UVA fraternity rapes. The Cummington High School kids. They hated American Indians. Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The fraudulent FDA food pyramid that helped make America fatter and less healthy. Eat more breakfast cereal. That'll slim you down. They bought all of this and much more without even pausing. When creepy porn lawyer told them that Brett Kavanaugh was a sex criminal, they believed him. Then they told us that creepy porn lawyer would make a good president. These are the people who brag about how much they revere science. We're the party of science. And at the same time insist that you can change your biological sex by wishing it so. 40 years ago, these same people warned us a new ice age was coming. Now they shriek about global warming. They will literally believe anything. On the left, the Enlightenment is over. Superstition reigns in its place. This is what happens when conventional religion, the ones we all mock, die. People who say, oh, I'm secular, just find something even more implausible to believe in and impose on the rest of us, but with way less self-awareness and therefore far more dangerously.